welcome back to another episode of Miracle Mindsets. I'm so buzzing. I feel like this has been such a long time coming. I can literally probably pull like a 2019 vision board out and she'll be on there. But I'm so excited to announce that we've got Breeny on the podcast today. So I've watched her for years. She's a YouTuber, motivational speaker. I feel like she's got me out of many holes when it comes to knowing your worth, boys, everything. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast, Breeny.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Anyone who maybe doesn't know you, how can you explain to people who you are, how you got started in this space of personal development, and just a little bit about you?
My name's Breeny. I'm 31 years old. I started doing YouTube videos in 2014, but I was mainly making videos on, like beauty, fashion, that kind of stuff. But then I kind of felt like I wasn't adding as much value as I could have. I don't know why, but I just felt like there was more for me to give than, oh, here's my nice hair, here's my makeup, here's this kind of thing. So I always felt that there was more to give. So I think I recorded a video. I think I was talking about celibacy, and that video kind of like took off. So after that, I just kind of followed it up, and I don't know how I come up with topics. It just keeps on coming and coming and coming and coming. And yeah, I haven't stopped for like how many years now? Like eight years now. But my calling in life, I believe, is to help women to raise their self-esteem and to feel better about themselves, because I truly believe that how you see yourself affects every area of your life. And if you don't have a right view of yourself, like everything else, your relationships, your job, your money, your finance, everything is going to be out of order. So if you can get a right view of yourself, if you know that you're worthy, you're precious, you're chosen, then you can actually live like that. And I think a lot of women suffer from low self-esteem. And that was my story. I grew up like that because I don't feel like I had an example. I always say that I raised myself. Like I was my sister, I was my mother, do you know what I mean? I was my father. And so in doing that, I learned so many lessons along the way, the hard way, I would say. And I think what I do on YouTube is to stop people making the same mistakes, really. So they don't have to go through it, because I think if people can know why or how, like why we do what we do, then we can actually have an understanding. And when we have an understanding, we can do better. They say, if you know better, you can do better. So I truly believe that that's the case. So I'm all about inspiring young women to become the best version of themselves, to heal, to grow, and to keep on pushing.
Big question, but I think it's so relatable for so many people to feel like low self-esteem, or just to fall into the habit of like putting themselves down, or not like really knowing what it means to really truly be confident, and like how it looks in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
How do you actually start to get to know what full self-esteem looks like to begin with, and what confidence looks like in different situations, and then how do you begin to like get there as well?
To know what confidence is that what you asked?
Yeah, to like really know what confidence looks like, where it can get you, how successful it can make you when you've not had that role model in your life.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm like a product of that. I never had a role model. No one taught me how to be confident. Actually, people taught me how not to be confident, and how to, focus on the insecurities, or to focus on the things that I'm not good at. I remember someone quite close to me when I was younger used to say to me, "You can't do anything right." And it was those like small words, those words that held so much weight in my life, and that made me have so much fear of getting things wrong. And so what happens, I turn into a perfectionist. And if you know anything about perfectionism, it actually cripples you. It actually stops you from moving, because you're like, I'm not going to do it until it's perfect. But the thing is, nothing's ever going to be perfect. And our standards are so high for ourselves. Like, we just want to be the best. We want to start our YouTube channel with the best products, the best mic, best camera. But the funny thing is, about like back in the day, when people started YouTube, they started on their camera phones. They started with a small, cheap camera or a webcam. And as they went along, it improved. But I find that people want to be perfect from the jump. They don't want to grow. They don't want to get better. They don't want to improve. They don't want to be able to look back and say, this is where I'm coming from. Look how crap it was, but look where I am now. Everybody wants to be amazing. They want to be the best. They want to be the most beautiful. They want to be the most successful, have the most likes from the beginning. And it just doesn't work like that. Like, that's not normal. And that's actually not success. And I always say to people, like, I'm so happy I wasn't an overnight success, because it would have ruined me. And I think people who, want to get there straight away, they don't know what they're asking for. And that's why you see so many people suffering from different types of, mental illness, depression, just things that could have been avoided if you took it slowly, right? And anything that grows fast is a cancer, right? Anything that grows too fast is a cancer. It's not good. And I think what we have to understand is that slow and steady wins the race. When I look back on my journey, I'm like, I remember I used to want to stop doing YouTube videos, because I'm like, where's the views? Like, where's the viewers? Like, where's everybody? Why is nobody watching my videos, But I didn't let that stop me. And I kept on going and going and going and going. And sometimes you have to close your eyes and keep on going, right? Because in the moment you may feel like, oh, I want to quit. This is not happening. This is not working. I'm not feeling confident. I don't have self-esteem. I want to give up. I'm not where I want to be. All these like limiting beliefs actually pull you back. And what I was saying earlier, like when people sow seeds of, words, they actually start growing in your life. And so I do an exercise with my clients that's called destroying the lies and speaking the truth. So what I get them to do is to write down all the lies they've ever been told. And I get them to write out the truth next to it. For example, the lie that I believe, I can't do anything right. The truth is, I can do everything right when I slow down and take my time, right? So that's not airy fairy tale thinking, like, oh, I don't think I'm beautiful. Tell yourself you're beautiful. No, I'm my own version of beautiful. I am uniquely beautiful, right? So it's like those subtle changes to your thinking that you can accept, because I know a lot of people have a hard time with mantras or affirmation. They're like, I don't believe it. Why am I saying it if I don't believe it? But the thing is that if you keep on repeating it and you tell yourself a truth that you can believe, so it might be just a little bit more true than what you've been believing as a lie. And I think when you believe the lie, that's what cripples you and stops you from being confident. Oh, let's say someone wants to do public speaking. Oh, I can't speak in front of a crowd. I get scared. That's what you believe. That's a lie. You believe it, and now it becomes true. So then it stops you. So when you actually take the lie and you challenge it, okay, what's the worst that can happen? People are going to laugh at me. Okay, I won't die. I'm not going to die, So, yeah, I think confidence is something that takes time, and anyone that says that they're 100% confident is a liar, or confident 100% of the time. No one's 100% confident 100% of the time. And I think it's just having that faith in yourself, which is belief in yourself, which is a form of confidence, right? And I always talk about confidence coming from competence. Once you know you're good at something, you can do it with your eyes closed. If you think about something that you're good at, whether it's cooking, whether it's, replying emails, anything, you can do it with your eyes closed because you're competent. But a lot of people, they don't spend time becoming competent, and they just want to be confident. It doesn't happen like that. If I wanted to present in an office, a board meeting, and I did not study, I did not do my research, I did not have my stats. If I didn't have any of that, I would go into a room shitting myself, because I'm like, I know I will not be able to blag this because I haven't done my research, right? But if you had stayed up that night, working, even weeks before that, stayed up, planning what you're going to say, you'll come in there confident, right? You'll be confident to present because you're competent. So confidence comes from being competent at what you're doing, whatever it is. And it's gradual, it takes time. So I hope that answered your question. It was a bit long-winded, but
I love that. I wanted to ask you, like, with your confidence and things, like, obviously you've been doing YouTube for years, and when you first started talking, like, do you look back on you when you were still doing YouTube and when you were still like speaking and talking about self-love and confidence, and do you notice like changes in yourself? Because I feel like when you first start on a self-love journey, like, is it true self-love, or are you trying to be perfect? Like, have you noticed revelations and growth within yourself over the years?
Definitely different levels and different dimensions within those levels, because the funny thing is, when you're teaching something, you think you know, right? When I first started talking about self-love, I was like, I definitely know, like, I've been doing this, I know what it is. But then life comes at you fast to test what you think you know. And whether it was getting into relationships or dealing with certain situations in my real life, those things came to challenge me. And I was like, wait, hold on, I thought I overcame this. I thought I grew past this stage. I thought I grew past letting these kind of things affect me. I thought I grew past this insecurity. And it's like, no, you've learned it on one level, but there's another level and there's another level. Even where I am now with self-love, there's so much more room to grow. And so I definitely feel like I started off, thinking that I knew everything. And then life humbled me and was like, yeah, go back down to level 1 and start again.
It is, I feel like it is difficult, like, definitely when it comes to even like relationships and knowing your worth and things, because on a surface level, like, you do feel like you've done the work, and like, especially if you can teach other people it, like, you give in amazing advice, but when it comes to you, I feel like it just knocks you down, and then suddenly you're like what, like, this is something that I thought I'd overcame, like, I thought I knew my worth. And I feel like definitely something that, like, I learned from you, especially last year, like, I went through quite a hard time, and like, it was about knowing your worth. Like, I listened to a podcast of yours, it was like how to be happy and whole single. A lot of us do chase love and validation, and when you're in love and like you're in love with someone, it feels great because they're showing you love, but then when that's took away from you, like, you're only left with yourself. So like, what is your advice to like young girls and to people who maybe do struggle with self-worth and do think that they're going to find it through somebody else?
Yeah, that is a lesson that everybody has to learn. And people tried to tell me when I was in the midst of thinking that I needed a guy to be happy and to be whole, my friend and my sister, my best friend and my sister would be like, Breeny, like, sis, like, stop, kind of thing. And I'd always be like, it's okay for you to say, because you both are in relationships, like, you guys are in love, like, it's okay for you to say that. And so I never fully accepted it, even though people used to tell me that all the time. And I think I realized that it was true when I tried and tried and tried and tried to get love from this guy and this guy and this guy, and it just never happened. Like, never, ever, ever happened. And it may have been good for the moment, right? You're loved up, you're going on dates, like, you guys are spending time together. You feel good. Like, it makes you feel good, but it never lasts. Like, that feeling never lasts. So if you're constantly chasing that, and that men are not perfect, we all know that. Like, men are not perfect, so they're never ever going to be able to give you perfect love. The perfect love that you're searching for is not from a man. It comes from God, and from God, and it comes from the inside, from God to the inside of you. So you're already loved, and you are already loved. It's already inside of you. But when you keep on doubting and thinking, no, I need something else outside of myself, someone else outside of myself, you're going to constantly be chasing that, because that other person may also be thinking the same thing, trying to get it from you. But you're a human being. You don't have the capacity. You don't have the capacity to give anyone more. You don't, right? And I always said that a man can add to your happiness, but he can't make you happy. That's your responsibility. And if you're not happy, nobody can make you happy. It's a decision. Happiness is a decision. because there's people that are living worse than we are and that are happier. How does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. That means it's a choice. And it's a choice to see that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And a lesson to see that everything that you have within you is enough. Like, you are enough by yourself.
What would you say to anybody who's like struggling to believe that right now, or maybe is in the dating game and really has this fear of whenever they're seeing somebody, they're scared of losing that feeling and having to deal with the like feeling of being on their own again and it coming up that they might not find somebody? How do you like sit in that feeling and start to enjoy it and start to really feel the self-love when you're struggling too?
So I just recently discovered something about myself. And what I discovered was that I wasn't emotionally available to myself. And so the feelings that I was seeking from someone else was the attention I wasn't giving to myself. So I wanted affection. I wanted words of affirmation. I wanted care and concern. But I wasn't doing that to myself. And I was giving that responsibility to him, to that person, to do it when I needed to sit with myself. So doing things like journaling and asking yourself questions like, how are you feeling? What do you need right now? Like, we have to learn to meet our own emotional needs. It's nobody else's responsibility. So identifying what those emotions are and what is necessary. Sometimes all you need is a hug. You don't need it from a man, though. You can get it from your best friend. You can get it from your mum. You can get it from your dad. Like, you don't need it from a man. But I think when we don't sit and identify what it is we need, we go out chasing it, and we end up chasing our tail round and round in circle, and you still don't get it. You still don't get what you're looking for. So I would definitely say, like, we need to learn to sit with ourselves and ask ourselves, what do we need? Like, what do I need in this moment? Okay, it's Friday night. I'm by myself. I'm feeling a bit lonely. Okay, but what's the real reason? What happened? And then you go back and you realize, I had a run-in with a colleague and that made me feel XYZ. Whenever I start feeling a certain way, because we all get that feeling. We all know when that something's wrong. Like, you can feel yourself like dipping, like getting, I always ask myself, like, what has happened? Like, what happened? And it may have been like 2 hours ago or in the morning or yesterday. But when I actually identify, like, okay, I spoke to that person and that person made me feel like I wasn't worth anything. And so because you kind of like brush past that, instead of actually dealing with those emotions, now those emotions have come up and now you're feeling those emotions again. And that's what's making you feel a certain way. So I think it's really about being emotionally aware of where you're at and being able to sit. And like, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to be very uncomfortable, because what you're going to do is going to grab your phone and text that guy or jump on a dating app and, get some attention that way. But if you can actually really sit with it, question yourself, question your emotions. Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? And it will literally pass. Journal, write these things down, list them down. Because when it's all in your head, it's abstract. And those abstract thoughts turn into feelings in your body. And then you start feeling it inside. But once you can get those thoughts down on paper, look at them and be like, okay, I know I'm feeling lonely. I know I'm feeling sad. I know I'm feeling this. But it'll pass.
For you personally, why do you think you were emotionally unavailable? And like, what have you done for yourself to unlearn that?
I think I didn't really process my breakup that happened in 2021, which is outrageous because it feels like it was so long ago. But when I actually really sat with myself, I realized that I was still jaded and very hurt. And I think in the process, when I ended it with the person, my grandma also passed at the same time. So there was like two griefs that I was trying to process. I don't think I even processed either of them, to be honest. And so last year, I kind of went through like a depression, because those emotions don't go away. They have to find their way out somewhere. And so I was still carrying a lot of grief within myself. And the emotional unavailability to myself came in because I wasn't acknowledging that I was hurt, disappointed, let down. This is someone I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, get married, have kids. We had plans. And I don't think I really processed the hurt. And so now when I was outside trying to date, I'm dating with my guards up. Like, I'm just being like, you know, pessimistic. Like, I'm here. This is cool, but you're not going to get my heart. Like, you're not going to really see me. I'm just going to be here. I'm just going to look pretty. That's it. But you're not going to get to my heart because my heart is broken. And so that's what like was causing emotional unavailability. And I think what I was speaking about before, when I started to become aware of what I needed, that's when I started becoming more available to myself and identifying those emotions and those feelings. And yeah, I think that answered the question.
I absolutely love the idea of sitting with yourself and asking, like, why am I feeling this way? Instead of just plastering over yourself and thinking, oh, like, I'm doing a great thing for myself tonight, bought myself a bottle of wine, I'm going to have a glass, really treat myself well. You don't realize that the thing that you're missing in a partner or picking up your phone and texting somebody is the fact of like talking through your day, hearing about theirs, opening up the conversation and delving a little bit deeper into the things that might have caused the issue. Rather than just like, it's because I want somebody here to cuddle me, or I just want to like have the company. It's not, it's because you want that connection and that like opportunity to open up and express your emotions as well. How do you start to open yourself up again after you've been hurt that way? Like, how do you process the hurt and then open yourself up again? Because it's the scariest thing to do when you've been jaded, or you feel like somebody has rejected you, or you're not good enough in some way. Or even if you've not necessarily been hurt, but you still are feeling very closed off to somebody else, how do you open yourself up?
I'm a big believer in therapy because I don't think that we can always do it by ourselves. Like, as much as like I talk about self-development and, you know, self-examination, I think there's parts of us that we can't see, and we just need help. We need someone to talk to. We need someone to, you know, process it with. Sometimes our friends and families are like tired of hearing about it, or they can't do anything about it. They can't really hold space for you. So I really believe in therapy because therapy allows you to speak about your emotions and talk through things. And like, therapists don't really do much when you think about it. They don't really do much. They just sit there and look at you and they just listen. But you need that, and they'll steer you in the right direction. So I definitely believe in a therapy. I also believe in taking time to heal. And I believe in binge watching. Like, what helped me after my breakup was watching some of my favorite relationship coaches, whether it's Tony Gaskins, who else? Tony Gaskins, this is really bad, but you know, like Tiffany Buckner. Like, there's so many different people that I would literally go to sleep watching these videos. Like, I would literally go to sleep, and it made me feel so much more better because I was getting an understanding of what I was feeling. And to also read the comments that I'm not the only person in the world going through this. Like, people have stories. We all have a story. And I also believe in prayer. I believe in community, good friendships, family, but you can only really have that when you're willing to open up. But not everyone's a safe space. So you're not going to want to open up to everybody. But those who hold space for you, those people who feel safe for you, is so important to have.
I am so glad that like you have healed now, and I feel like it does genuinely, like, it breaks every part of your identity. I feel like when you lose something in someone, and especially losing like a family member as well, like I feel like you are so right. At some point it does all bubble up, and you think that you can push things down, and you think that like they'll go, but it is still there. And like, obviously I was very similar to you. Like, I literally have like a heartbreak playlist. I'll probably send it to people now. Like, I've got so many TED Talks for you. But I wanted to talk to you about your like connection to God and like how people can explore that deeper, because like from the moment I started watching you, you've always said about like your connection to God and how that's the most powerful, and whether people call it like universe or whatever it is for them, how do you tap into that? Because I know personally, like having that kind of faith, like you don't feel lost because you can put your fears and hurt
Yeah.
and like your heartbreak and everything onto the fact that like it will be healed and someone is supporting me. Like, how do you tap into that?
Well, I can share my testimony, I guess. When I was 16, I had an encounter, I would say, with God. And it wasn't anything spooky. I didn't hear God's voice. I didn't hear anything like that. It was just like so many things started to happen. Like my grandma would give me like a Bible. People would give me like a Bible in the street. And at that time, I was just so lost. And I know it's like, oh, well, you're 16. Of course you're lost. But I've always been very mature. So even at 16, I was living a wild life. Like my life was just wild, but I felt like I kept on going around in circles. I'm like, this can't be life. This can't be living. I can't keep on doing the same stuff and expecting a different result. This is insanity. And so I knew I needed a change, but I didn't know how to experience that change. And so basically I went to church. I went to church and I heard a message about eternal life, and that eventually that if I gave my life to Christ, even if I died, I would still live on. I'd have eternal life. And one thing about me, I had the biggest fear of dying. I don't know why, but it crippled me. I just feared death so much because it was so unknown. I guess I was so used to being in control and wanting to know everything, but I just didn't understand that part. And so when I first entered that church and that was the message being preached, I was like, I don't know what happened. I just went to the altar, cried, and just surrendered my life to God. And so since then, it's just been a journey of like understanding his word. I think some people because even to answer the question is so hard because, like you said, everyone has a different faith and different religion or whatever. But I know with me, when I read the Bible and when I ask God for understanding and I ask God for wisdom, he speaks to me. Like every answer that you're looking for is in the Bible. But I think because people think it's an old book, they don't know how relevant it is for today. Like every single answer that you need is in the Bible. So when I'm praying and I'm asking God, like, okay, please show me something or show me about this person, God will give me a dream. God will send someone else to tell me about, like, I've been saved from so much just by having that relationship. And how I can say people can access that is to just ask God, like, God, reveal yourself. Reveal, like, who are you? Because God knows us. Like, we may not know him, but he knows us. Like, he knew us from way back. Before we was even conceived, he knew us. So you don't know him, but he knows you. So a simple prayer of like, God, show, like, if you're real, show yourself because I need you. And the Bible says that God is close to the brokenhearted. So God is closest to those who feel the lowest. It's not those who are perfect and holy that God is closest to. No, it's those that are broken, those who have been heartbroken, those who have suffered loss, tragedy, like, you know what I mean? So like, I would say like, ask God to reveal himself and he will, like 100% he will.
No, I agree, definitely. I think, like, as Sam said as well, whatever you call it. And I think the fact that somebody, like, all different types of people find this comfort, like, I'm thinking between my mum, my boss at work, and you, all completely different people get reading these same things and finding some kind of like connection or community or like answers. And like my manager at work says the same thing. He like speaks about God as if it's this person close to him. Have you got an example of faith has helped guide you through or spirituality has helped guide you through the most?
It's so every day. Like, okay, so this apartment that I'm now currently in, I was looking at another apartment. This was in 2021. I was looking at another apartment down the road, and I was meant to go for my viewing. and I was late. And so the person that was coming after me put an offer down and they got the apartment. But this was like my dream apartment. I was kicking myself. I was beating myself. I was like, so annoying. Like I just wish I could just reverse the hands of time and just be on time. And I was just like so annoyed at myself. And I was just like praying, like, God, like, just show me what I need to learn in this, and bring another apartment around that's even greater than this one that I lost. And lo and behold, this apartment never even went on the market. The sales guy basically called me up. It's on the market. Do you want it? Came through. I was like, 100%. And it's even greater than the one that I missed. And so it's just in those little things where you feel like it's over. And then God's like, no, it's not. And like, even just being in this place, in the location, like, it almost feels like destiny. And I think, like, if I was to look back probably like 10 years from now, I could probably even see it even clearer why I was meant to live here. Because the reason why I live in this particular area is because I wanted to be close to my ex. And a week after moving in, we broke up. And so, like, I grew up in Essex, basically. Now I live in Southeast. And there's no reason for me to be in Southeast. But God knows there is a reason for me to be here in this exact apartment. So I really feel like everything conspires just to work out for our good, And I think having that faith, I'm chilling. Like, I just chill. Like, nothing stresses me out. I don't have to worry about anything. And I think, like you said, like, you just knowing you have that connection to help you through, like, it's just amazing. Like, it's the best.
For me, it's huge on like signs. Whenever I'm feeling really low, it'll always be like, I'll look up and in the far distance is a feather just going across the sky, and I'd just be like, it's just so random at the time. I'd look up, and the times when you are feeling like your lowest, having faith that like it is all going to work out. I feel like it's such an amazing perspective that, like, when you're going through a hard time, what is it trying to teach you? What is it trying to teach you? Like, it's not the end.
No.
It's just the beginning of something that is more
Greater.
aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
What would be your advice on, like, becoming your best self? So it is funny, I can fully reference stuff. I'm like, I know you've done a video because I've watched it about being like a high value woman, like knowing your worth, knowing your standards, like being confident in you, being your best self. Like, where do you start with that? And I know a lot of it comes from boundaries with people, with yourself. Like, for you and for your journey, becoming your best self, like, what would be your tips?
I think the desire to want to, because some people are actually quite content being who they are, even if it's toxic, right? And I think having that desire and that want to improve, for me, knowing that it's possible I like a challenge. So knowing that it's possible for me to be better than I am now, I want to take that challenge. So what could I look like in 5 years if I applied myself and I got up from my ass and I actually did what I wanted to do? Where would I be? And so I think a lot of people have short-sightedness where they're only really thinking about now. Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm tired. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm tired. I don't want to start this YouTube channel because everyone's going to laugh. Like, you're so short-sighted. You're only thinking about this box that you're in. You need to, like, just fast forward and, like, just make it up in your mind 5 years from now. Who's this person? Who is she? Who do you want her to be? Right? Because if you don't have intention, you'll wake up 5 years and be in the exact same spot. And I believe in learning from other people. There's a saying that says, wise people learn from their mistakes, and even wiser person learns from the mistakes of others. And so when I look at people who had potential, but fumbled, but didn't live up to their potential, I'm like, I do not want to do that. And I think what wakes me up and gives me that desire every day is wanting to die empty. So I know I've got potential. I know I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. But if I don't do it, if I don't work, like today, you wouldn't even believe how many things I've done today. Like today has been a crazy, crazy day, but I'm excited because I know I'm getting closer to my goals. So I had a vision board party at the beginning of the year. And I think having a focus and an intention just kind of brings your whole life into focus. Like, because most of us, it's not because some of us are lazy, yes, but most of us aren't lazy. It's just that we lack direction. We don't know where we're going, or we may know that we're good at this, or we want to do this, or we want to try this, but the direction just isn't clear enough. And so I think understanding the vision, what it is you want to do, and then kind of working back from that is what I would say is one of the first steps to becoming the best version of yourself, because you can't become the best version if you don't know what that version is.
Did you know in your mind, like when you started your YouTube channel, or because like I've not even really said on here, but obviously like you've got such a big following on YouTube and like you're really successful, like in your mind's eye when you were younger, was that your vision?
No.
Really?
Not at all. I started when YouTube wasn't even a thing. Like now kids will say, when I grow up, I want to be a YouTuber. I used to say, when I grow up, I want to own a sweet shop so I can eat all the sweets. That's what I was thinking when I was younger. That was my vision. That was my plan. But I think going to school, I actually wanted to do modeling. I was actually quite passionate about fashion. But there was no courses for modeling. So I thought, let me just go into fashion. I studied fashion design, got my degree in fashion design. But whilst I was at university studying fashion, I created a blog. And then creating the blog turned into Instagram. Instagram turned into YouTube. And then even when I got on there, I still thought that I was going to do image, fashion, beauty, makeup, that kind of stuff. But then when I got on there, I was like, there's more. I don't know what it is right now, but I know that there's more for me to do on this platform than just show people my new pair of shoes. And no shade to anyone that shows their new pairs of shoes, because sometimes I do it. However, for me, and I think you have to get still with yourself and think about, okay, what is it? And I think there's always signs. I know that when I was in school, I never wanted to adhere to the uniform. Like, I always felt so caged in. I had a good uniform. It was black and white, basically. It was a good base to start off with. So I used to get like, pink scrunchies, pink leg warmers, Nike pink rucksack, and just always wanting to be like different, right? And then when I was in school, I didn't really care about, this is really bad, I'm not advising anyone not to care about school, but this is my story. When I was in school, I was more concerned about socializing. I just want to talk to people, And so when I look back, that was a sign telling me that I'm going to be more creative, I studied art, design, textiles for GCSEs. I flopped because I didn't realize that I was dyslexic. So that would stop me from handing in my work on time. And I just felt, but anyway, I got my A and my B in English and I got my C in maths. So it was good enough to take me to the next level. But when I got to university and I was doing fashion design towards year 2, I just fell out of love with it. And I attended LCF, which is like one of the biggest fashion schools like worldwide. And I wanted to go there like from school, LCF. I have to get into school. That was the big vision at the time. I need to get into LCF. When I got into there, I was like, this is not what I want. I hate it. Like I hate it. And so me creating the blog was out of fun. It wasn't with any intention. When I created the blog, then Instagram came along. A lot of people don't realize that before Instagram was Instagram, it was a photo editing app. And so one day I saw a notification from one of my friends that he had liked my photos. And I was like, this is very embarrassing. I've got 100 selfies with 100 different filters. This is very embarrassing for me right now. So let me delete the app. So I came off Instagram and then it started picking up. And people would ask me like, why don't you have Instagram? I'm like, I don't want to be on Instagram. Like, So I was kind of late to Instagram, but when I did get Instagram, before that I had Tumblr. So Tumblr was like the original Instagram, and I would kind of go viral on Tumblr with like my fashion and stuff like that. So Instagram was a no-brainer. So I just started sharing my looks or whatever, and people started flocking to me. And then people started saying, you should do YouTube. And cut a long story short, I did do YouTube. And then once I changed from doing fashion to speaking, that's when I realized that there's actually purpose here. And when people would say that your videos have helped me or changed my life, that's when I realized like this is actually not just a job. Like, it's not just something fun to do. Like, this is actually real life. Like, this is actually a huge responsibility. But I really felt like before that I was asking God, like, what's my purpose in life? What is the purpose? What is the purpose? What is the purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing? Because I was so good at so many different things. I was modeling, I was blogging, I was making clothes, I was doing this. But I was like, God, what is it? What am I supposed to be doing? And I felt like God told me that my purpose in life is to raise women's self-esteem. And I heard that like clearly. And so once I knew that, now I know that's the purpose. So however I do that, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's books, whether it's a podcast, whether it's speaking engagement, the purpose is to raise self-esteem in women. So wherever I go, whatever I do, that's the purpose. That's what I'm doing. But the thing about purpose is that it changes. You may think that you know what it is, but it's so much bigger. But the thing that we should do is just keep on taking the next step. We don't have to know everything, right? They say that too much light will blind you. And sometimes we want to know everything. And it's like, you don't have to know, just do the next thing. What are you good at? What do people come to you for? And for me, I genuinely found so much joy in helping people with anything. Like, I just want to help. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why it was in me, but just wanted to help people.
I feel like it is the flow. Do you know what I mean? Like when me and Jen do a podcast, like, and girls message us and stuff, and it's as if like I almost need to tell myself these things.
Yeah.
Like we're telling each other, and then suddenly like there's a microphone and it's helping other people. But it is so interesting. Like I do feel like if you do know your purpose, it's just almost, it's like a message coming through you rather than like.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
I wanted to ask a little bit about when you know your purpose, staying that high value person that accepts the things that are in alignment, because I know that even at the moment probably, or at other times, I've definitely accepted things that aren't 100% in alignment or aren't like good for me, but I just stay there because it's easy. And is it a test that I'm staying there and I should move on from it? Is it a boundary that I need to set and actually stick to, but I'm scared to? Like, how do you actually stay in alignment and take the right opportunities?
There's actually a tweet. Someone said that knowing your worth online but settling in real life is actually very strange. And I was like, it's so true, because everyone, I know my worth, I did it. And in real life, come on a situation, it's like, oh, what are you really doing? But I think in that, you have to have compassion with yourself. Like, you don't know what you don't know at the time. And I think we're all susceptible to not knowing our value, right? We should know it, but there comes a times when you get tested, like, okay, like you're tempted with lowering it, not because you want to, but because maybe there's another need that this person or this thing is meeting, that you're willing to give up your power, you're willing to give up something for, in exchange for whatever you think is important from that person. So I definitely feel like it's a journey and it's a reminder, but having those standards and knowing what the standards are will help you with that. Because when something comes along that tries to challenge it, you're like, no, this is my boundaries. This is my standards. I know what I should be tolerating. Even if I do feel lonely, no, I'm not going to call this guy, right? And actually reinforcing those boundaries to yourself. Because we may have boundaries to keep everybody out, but what about our own boundaries for ourselves? And those boundaries create respect. If you keep violating your own boundaries, you actually lose respect for yourself, because you know better. But why are you not doing it? Because you keep on trespassing your own boundaries. So understanding that having standards is number one, and understanding that they're going to get tested. Like someone's going to offer you 50p for something that's worth 5 million. But that's up to you to be like, no, this is 5 million, bro. This ain't 5p. Okay, right? So it's reminding yourself, like, I'm valuable. This is my value. I will not compromise on my standards or my deal breakers. I won't. Even if I have to be lonely, even if I have to be broke, whatever it is, I'm not compromising.
And it probably feels hard in the moment because you're saying no to something that maybe your old self would have settled for.
Yeah.
Whether it be like settling for a lower wage than you want, or this man might tick 6 boxes, but he doesn't tick the 10 that you're actually wanting. And I do think that maybe we settle because we question whether we can get the best. And I feel like as women as well, like maybe we are taught that like we can't reach for and have it all. Like you should be grateful for what you've got, and to sit and to be grateful for what you have. Don't, you know, and I feel like having that in your mind and replaying that, like this is good, but it isn't what I asked for.
It isn't what it isn't. So it's not good. It's not good enough.
Yeah.
And that's okay to say, like, it's okay, it's good. You're a good person. This job is, I'm thankful that I have a job, but this is not it. I know my value. I know what I bring to this company. I'm the prize in this company. I'm making the sales in this company. That's why you have to know your value and what you're worth, right? So no one can come and say, oh, well, we're only gonna, we can only, if you can only give me this, I'm going. Because I know my worth. I know what I am worth. And even though I don't see, or I can't see that there may be something better, I know that I'm not going to settle for this. Maybe if you can't see, just know that this ain't it. Like, this is not it.
I think a hard bit with that as well that you've got to accept might come is that you're probably going to get a bit of backlash, whether you're saying that you don't want to speak to the boy that you've been dating anymore just because in your head you know that they're not the one. If you've been getting on well, you might get a shitty text saying like, oh, you expect too much, you're never going to be happy, you expect for like what you want isn't there, we had a great connection, it's not there. Or maybe leaving a job that you're doing really, really well at, but there was too many like steps on the ladder or whatever, and the bosses all come back and be like, this is the corporate world, like you have to accept that this is how you work your way up and this is what it is, this is how it is. But sticking to your guns and surrounding yourself with other people that have that same vision as you. I know that like I could spend weeks stuck in not that my life is mundane, but if I was in a mundane routine and then me and Sam might go away for the weekend and we might go away traveling or something we love to do, and we'll be with each other who are both like bringing each other up on this high vibe, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, I actually don't need to settle in this life. It is very meh to me. Like it is okay to leave it. It's fine if you think it's good, but it's not good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do need you need people that are also not settling. Because the trouble is a lot of people hang around people that are also settling. So they also want you to settle because they've accepted this price. They're like, well, you shouldn't, like, there was one time, this was like years ago, I was working for a makeup artist. I was modeling at the time. And she was like, oh, I'm going to pay you this. And I was like, well, no, I want this. And she was like, well, the other model's getting this. And I'm like, that's her. I'm asking for this. And I don't know, she must have gone back and told the other model, because I was friends with her at the time, industry friends, and that person stopped talking to me because I was like, what has her price got to do with my price? If she's accepted that, pay her that. What I want is this, so pay me or don't use me, kind of thing. So it's like people want you to accept what they've accepted, but that's not it. If I know my value and you don't know your value, we're not on the same level. You think you deserve that. I think I deserve more. So what are we going to do here?
That is so true. And I think that like, there's obviously people, like you do need to really cultivate your circle, I feel, to people that are either doing better or want better or have a bigger vision. Because when you do, and like, I feel like as you get older, more people are settling. And
Yes.
like I really, really feel that now. And like, you've got to be so aware of it, because you just don't want to fall into the trap of like, oh, maybe this is all that it is then. But I feel like if you start to surround yourself with those people, like they will only clap for you if you're on that same level as them. And if you start above or stepping above, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, even if it's subconscious, like people don't mean to drag you down or mean to make these comments. It's purely because they don't see it for themselves, so they don't want you to do better.
Yeah, that people don't want the people want you to do well, but never better than them. And like you said, it is subconscious, but once you realize that, and that's why for me it's important to hang around people who have their own self-esteem, because I've been around women who don't have their own self-esteem, and my confidence makes them feel a certain type of way. And I'm like, I'm going to go and get this for me. You need to go and get it for you. I'm going to encourage you, but I can't believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And I don't want my confidence to feel like, because sometimes, like, if you're up here, it's easier for someone to bring you down for you than for you to bring them up. So if you're up here, it's going to be an imbalance. And it's like, you're almost always having to come down and make yourself smaller to accommodate this relationship or friendship when they can just level up. But it's not in everybody. Like what we're doing here, like you think people, what day is it today? Thursday. Okay, that's how you know I've had a long ass week. I have no idea what day it is. But people aren't sitting down and having conversations like this. The average person is not. Even the people watching this, you're rare. People like mediocrity because it makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah. And what you said then about it's so much easier for somebody to bring you down rather than you to bring them up. It's so true, because that somebody bringing you down and those like jealous emotions or their fear or whatever that's intimidated by how high up you are is coming from something so set subconsciously and so twisted and like manipulative that it's always going to be stronger and cleverer to bring you down than it is for you to just be like high vibe and positive and I don't need an explanation, just like trust that I know better, is like, or not that I know better, but I'm feeling better and I know that there's more available than this like deep set fear, anxiety, like retaliation against you for getting what they want and they don't think it's available to them.
100%.
Thank you so much for coming on.
That was fun.
Literally what, like 10 at night, look at us all going.
Love it.
I know, me too. But thank you so much, Breeny. Honestly, like you really have helped me so much, and I feel like so many girls will take so much in this podcast, and I'm sure they'll probably listen to you as well after this. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now I've got to have you guys on my podcast.